The market ends lower after a choppy session. Steep sell-off coming in as tensions escalated. New information came out about what happened last night at the border. Pakistan escalating the military situation. India responding with full force.
Pakistan attempted to engage a number of military targets in northern and western India overnight, says the Ministry of Defence. India negates escalation efforts with a proportionate response. Defence Ministry says it is reliably learned that air defence systems at Lahore have been neutralised.
Dabur, Blue Star, Voltas were under pressure after reporting fourth quarter numbers. Dabur raises concerns around slowdown in urban demand, while Blue Star management says cooling industry saw lower sales in April. You know, the big story, of course, is the India-Pakistan tensions, which, of course, is now manifesting with Pakistan trying to escalate the situation, as we understand, late last night at about 1 o'clock in the morning, actually, early today, attempting to target Indian military sites. And many of those attacks, of course, neutralized by us, by the Indian forces. Let's get the latest on this, because this is now coming out. For context, this all, of course, happened early this morning, actually. Parishit is here with details. Parishit, take it away.
Well, clearly there has been an escalation by Pakistan after Operation Sindoor happened on 7th morning around 1 a.m. Ours was a 25-minute operation aimed only at terror camps in Pakistan, but Pakistan has clearly acted in a disproportionate manner. They have tried to target a number of military areas in 15 cities along the line of control and the international border. And these are places like Srinagar, Jammu, Pathankot, Amritsar, Ludhiana, Chandigarh. And they attacked military targets in these areas using drones and missiles. Now, all of this was neutralized and countered using India's air defense system. Our forces were able to counter these, bring them down in several areas. And pictures on Pakistani media show debris from their fallen drones and aircraft as well. Now, this morning, the Indian Armed Forces, in retaliation, targeted air defense radars and systems at a number of locations in Pakistan. And it has reliably been learned that the air defense system in Lahore has been neutralized. This is a very important piece of information. We've been reporting how after phase 1 of Operation Sindoor, Pakistan has resorted to very heavy artillery shelling, which has literally continued for over 24 to 30 hours, and it is still on. 16 innocent civilians have been killed. These are at least 3 women and 5 children. This has primarily happened in Poonch, which has borne the brunt of the Pakistani fighting. 1 soldier has been killed. India is also retaliating very, very strongly. In fact, the Pakistani Prime Minister has gone on to say that over 25 to 30 civilians have been killed in Pakistan itself. So a very grave situation. How do we describe this? Well, our Operation Sindoor was aimed at terror camps. It was non-escalatory in nature, did not aim at civilians, did not aim at economic targets or the Pakistani army. What Pakistani army has now tried to do is escalate the situation. We've responded very strongly as well. The situation right now at the border, very dynamic. Every source in the military is saying Operation Sindoor is not over. There will be more updates over the next few days. We are on a state of alert. The operations continue, which means that it is possible that even now we are carrying out firing across the LOC to target Pakistani forces because they are hitting us. And also the air operations may be continuing. And let me also point out the Navy also in the Arabian Sea is on high alert. Our operational deployments are in place to deter and defend. So we are on a defensive posture right now to make sure that we are able to deal with any eventuality. Just one quick note on the Prime Minister's high-level meeting with government secretaries. Now, this was to ensure that all government departments start working together. They hold regular meetings to ensure that every aspect of the economy, every aspect of the Indian industry is ready. And there is institutional resilience also built up in the system for the next few months.
All right, Parishit, thank you very much for that. And I think we'll keep coming back to you for updates on what the situation is now. I just want to put into context once again what Parishit said. You know, this escalation is not, I mean, of course, there's a firing at the LOC, etc. But specifically, this escalation happened early morning, 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. In the morning, early morning, that is last night. And of course, it's being reported and the information, of course, is being released now. So I think that is important context that I think we must put out. Markets, of course, as the information came out, did respond. The Nifty will come up on your screen. We had basically two bouts of selling. First, around 230. There was a bit of a recovery which got sold into again. And finally, the adjusted close was about 140 points lower, 24,273. The Nifty Bank came off sharply. The mid-cap indices and the small-cap indices also all came off. This perhaps is the only big incremental trigger which markets are very squarely focused on. Lots of stocks moved around, and for that, let me just quickly go across to Vivek, who's got the bulk of the moves, the big moves. Vivek, take it away.
Well, thank you so much for that. Like you mentioned, midday we actually saw the kind of breadth decline, and declines actually went ahead and outpaced the advances in today's trading session. Quite a few movers, largely on the back of results. Symphony opened a lot stronger, but during the middle of the session did cool off a little bit. Strong Q4 results, which is why the stock managed to end up 6% higher. Canara Bank was the other one. Again, cooled off a little bit after the initial spike the stock gave post results, but a good set of numbers, asset quality improving, and company also has given significantly better guidance as far as FY26 is concerned compared to its own peers. And Concord Biotech, some stocks, especially from the CDMO pack in the pharma space, managed to do quite well. Concord Biotech, one of the top gainers when it comes to the NSE 500 today. But the list of laggards mainly impacted by muted results. Asian Paints, very weak Q4 coming across, so the company missed across most of the sense. Along with that, volume growth was muted, one of the top laggards today. And this is after the kind of sell-off the stock has seen from its recent 52-week high. Bharat Forge, again, muted Q4 coming in. Company actually has gone ahead and refrained from giving a guidance as far as FY26 is concerned. Expects decline across the export market. And along with that, the only key takeaway being the fact that the company expects the defense business to do better this particular year. Blue Star, again, even though the numbers were largely in line, the commentary coming from the management was quite muted. Industry-wide sales for April was lower. Stock ended lower by over 4%. And pharma stocks today, apart from the CDMO players, the generic players actually saw a very weak session. Most of the pharma names today, names like Aurobindo, Biocon, Divi's, Torrent, as well as Loris, all of these stocks actually saw significant selling pressure. Loris, one of the top laggards today, over 4%. Overall, muted day and declines far outpacing advances.
Absolutely. Quiet, what was a quiet day started becoming, a little more weak as we progressed into the afternoon. By the way, just two more points to note here. The India VIX shot up as this news hit the screens that there has been this overnight escalation. The VIX moved up almost 12%. And not just that, there was an impact on the currency as well. The rupee to the dollar had weakened at one point. I think it was almost a percent or so. The move that happened, the intraday move. So both the dollar rupee and the VIX reacting, along with, of course, the equity market. Let's go across to our guests now. Chandan Daparia of Motilal Oswal Financial Services, as well as Ambarish Baliga. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining in. Chandan, now we're entering a period of, high volatility from the looks of it, and high uncertainty for sure. What would your advice be to traders who have open positions?
Yeah, good afternoon. We have seen a spike in VIX by around 10%. During the day, VIX headed to 21.89, and which is highest level of last 17-18 trading session. Jump in the VIX is happening from last almost 6-7 trading session, and rising VIX clearly indicates that volatile swings cannot be ruled out in the market. But at the same time, the good part is that index is holding well above 24,000. But rising VIX may not allow market to get the smoother ride. If VIX doesn't go below 14-15 marks, I believe the whipsaws or some roller coaster ride could be seen in the market at higher levels. So as of now, till VIX remains at higher levels, market has potential to once tank below 24,000 and hit the key support of 23,850 level. One more thing we need to keep in mind that CBOE VIX is also at 22 level. So that clearly indicates that the volatility is there in the global equity market as well in US. So rising VIX across the equity market indicates that some swings could be there. So I believe those who are holding the position, they have to either be light or go for some hedging activity. We believe that market is likely to provide the stock specific action rather than looking at the broader picture of the indices.
Okay. All right, got that. Chandan, thanks very much. We'll come back for more questions in just a bit. Let's also quickly address some of the stocks that were in focus today, and Asian Paints was definitely one of them. came out with numbers, and the numbers look really weak. There were a couple of extraordinary items or exceptional items in the bottom line, but even the operational performance seems to be below estimates. Manglam is here with the details. Manglam?
Well, it was a top-down miss coming in from Asian Paints, and the management has attributed that to three things. One, tough demand conditions, coupled with down trading and increased competitive intensity. All of these factors impacted their overall revenues. And even if you look at it year on year, not just our expectations, the revenue was down 4%, the EBITDA was down 15%, margins were down 220 basis points, and net profit down 45%. The big gash on the net profit was also on account of a 180 crore exceptional. And if you account for that, the numbers have been below street expectations across all parameters. The volumes have grown just 1.8%. This compares with expectations of 4 to 5% growth itself. The stock ended at the low point of trade, but remember, by and large, because of increased competitive intensity and prolonged consumer sentiment weakness, the Asian Paints stock has been an underperformer as well. And because of also the disruption in the industry, the valuation multiple at which Asian Paints trades has come down from a 5-year average of 60 to around 44. So there has been derating which has taken place on Asian Paints as well.
No, absolutely. And I think stock, of course, came off with the market were coming off as well. Any thoughts here quickly, Amrish? Asian Paints?
I think the numbers are pathetic because I think most of the analysts had reduced the expectations. I mean, for example, I was expecting the profits to fall about 15%. I was expecting the EBITDA margins to be closer to about 18.2. Instead of that, we have seen 45% fall in profits. EBITDA margins, which I was expecting about 100 basis points lower, is more than 200 basis points lower. So I think we could see a further cut in Asian Paints. But again, if you're talking of the next 2 to 3 quarters, I would say possibly it can be a buying opportunity in case we see either 100-150 rupees cut in Asian Paints further from here. Because if you look at the way the crude is going, I think that should be helping Asian Paints and the paint industry overall over the next couple of quarters.
Okay, all right. Got that, Amrish. Thanks for it. Let's now head to Sudarshan, who will help us out understanding how Bharat Forge's performance was in the fourth quarter. The stock was under pressure, so tell us more.
So as expected, Bharat Forge has reported a weak set of earnings for Q4FY25. Profit was down 11%, revenue too has fallen 7%, EBITDA too has dropped 6%, margin has come in at 28.5% versus our poll of around 29%, and the earnings miss was majorly dragged by defense business. Forging business was steady, revenue was down just 1%, but if you look at defense business, their revenue has fallen 50% and EBIT margin has come in at 3.2% against 11% in the same quarter last year. On the outlook front, it remains the mixed outlook. Company believes that the order book that it has in the defense business, it will lead the revenue going forward. But as far as North America business is concerned, company has said that like in this ongoing tariff issue, it's very tough to comment on that. And it believes that even in Q1 FY26, North America business may continue to see a decline. So after a week set of earnings, an outlook remains mixed.
Okay, all right, got that. So thank you very much. Chandan, coming over here, lots of earnings actually have come in as well. We discussed some of them like Asian Paints and the others. Any immediate stock trades here responding to results? There were, of course, a lot of the AC and cooler makers as well, Blue Star, Voltas, and the one that was very good, Symphony. Your thoughts?
Yeah, so the concern is that VIX has seen a spike and most of the counters started to witness some profit booking or kept upside. But here I want to focus on the counter like Voltas. However, the medium-term structure was negative in the counter. It was making lower top, lower bottom. But now it has gone to the extreme oversold scenario. And we have noticed that multiple times in last 10, 12 weeks, it managed to find support near 1180, 1200 marks. Even on the last day, it took support near 1200. Today headed to 1288, but then fell from higher level. So I believe 1180 could provide as a support. So buy on decline can be utilized in Voltas for an upside target was 1300. But if you look at the counter like Asian Paint, the good part is that falling crude might support the counter for the long-term point of view or fundamental point of view. But technically, it has given a breakdown below 2385. So till it remains below 2385, price structure indicates a decline towards 2200 levels.
Okay, all right. Tata Motors shares were up sharply yesterday, and they were up for most of the day today as well. And of course, came off as the market came off as well. Now, it looks like Donald Trump is essentially going to. He teased out that big announcement for later today, and of course, there are reports that that big announcement is nothing but a trade deal, which is going to be announced between US and UK. This is important for Tata Motors, which has seen a fair bit of damage because JLR makes outside the US in the UK and then sells into the US, which is a big market for it. So tell us more.
So in the opening trade, the Tata Motors stock was up almost 3% and intraday did fall. But again, at the end, it was in the green. So why the stock was higher? Today morning, US President Donald Trump on his Truth Social has posted that he would be holding a press conference in which he would announce a trade deal with one of the friendly nations. And after that, New York Times has reported that that friendly nation can be United Kingdom. And why this would be positive if the trade deal is announced? Because JLR for North America forms nearly 1/3 of total sales of JLR. And if you look at Tata Motors' consolidated revenue, JLR contributes almost 70%. So if the trade deal with UK is announced, it would help company maintain its guided range of EBIT margin. Also, outlook going forward will improve. But along with Tata Motors, also you'll have to watch a few stocks like Tata Elxsi and Tata Tech. For example, JLR is an anchor client of Tata Tech. So if the deal is announced, it will not only be positive for Tata Motors, but someone like Tata Tech as well.
Okay, no, got that. Chandan, any thoughts on Asian Paints and Tata Motors quickly?
Yeah, so Tata Motors, I believe some volatile cues could be there because that is the nature of the counter. But the good part is it has managed to hold 50-day exponential moving average. So I believe with support of 650 decline could be bought, and it has once potential to head to a 723. That is the major level for the counter. Asian Paint, I'm expecting some 3 to 4% decline. It can go down to 2200 zone.
Okay, well, while we, of course, keep an eye out on India and Pakistan, Parikshit is, of course, also keeping an eye on the talks which are taking place between India and US. Sources reveal that India has offered zero tariffs on most US products, but the difference remains with non-tariff barriers. Parikshit, back to you.
Well, it is very important for India to get an interim trade deal done in the next few weeks. Why? Because Donald Trump has imposed a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs. And therefore, we would like to get a reprieve within this 90-day period so that the reciprocal tariffs do not come back again. What we are trying to do right now, India has offered zero duties, basically zero duty or complete access, tariff-free access to US goods in all sectors, barring wheat, maize, rice and dairy. Now, these are red lines for our farmers, so to say. Having said that, US wants to impose a 10% tariff, which already exists as a base tariff, on Indian goods coming into the United States. India still wants 0 for 0. Let's see where things go. We're told that more or less there is agreement on the tariff arrangement between the two nations. Where the differences lie right now is on non-tariff barriers, such as differences in treatment of US and Indian companies in terms of taxation, in terms of competition laws. So all these things are being addressed in those negotiations. There are at least 67 such areas or non-tariff barriers which have been given in a list to the Indian government to work out. Let's see how things work out. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal will be visiting the United States on the 19th of May to hold talks with his counterpart, Howard Lutnick. Let's see if there is a breakthrough after that.
Okay. All right, Parikshit, thanks very much. That's an important global development to keep a track of. We have to slip into a very quick break. When we come back, all the top corporate voices that we had through the day and, of course, the events to watch tomorrow. Welcome back. PB Fintech's management was speaking with us earlier today. The company had proposed to keep its stake in PB Healthcare at about 11%. However, the board in the new deal that has transpired for PB Healthcare, the PB Fintech board essentially saying that they see opportunity and they want to retain at this point in time a 26% stake in the healthcare foray. Listen in to the structure of this deal and what the healthcare foray could perhaps bring to PB Fintech, which is the listed entity. Here's Yashish Daya, chairman of PB Fintech.
My personal view was that PB Fintech, and that's the proposal I went to the board with, that PB Fintech should have taken about 11, 12%, 15% stake. That was the proposal I went to the board with. But the board decided that they wanted to maintain a minimum 26% stake, right? PB Fintech has a right to retain 26%. Just like General Catalyst has a right to keep investing.
Okay, well, that was a deal which was announced early in the morning. And of course, we had the investor, General Catalyst, and PB Fintech with us. Well, what are the events to watch out for? That list with Ria, she's standing by. Ria, over to you.
Well, yes, let's take a look at the most important events to watch out for tomorrow. First up, China will be releasing its CPI data. We also have the US-China trade talks that will commence in Switzerland tomorrow. The IMF Executive Board meeting is also scheduled for the 9th of May, where critical financial decisions, including a potential $1.3 billion loan to Pakistan, is on the table. Back home in India, we have a lot of Q4 results coming out. We have ABB India, Bank of India, Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, CE Infosystems, which is Map My India, and Thermax, among others. There are also 4 companies that are going to hold board meetings to consider a fundraise. They include Birla Corporation, Infibeam Avenues, Naveen Fluorine, and Tourism Finance Corp. So keep your eye out on all of these events for tomorrow.
All right, Ria, thank you very much for that. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Markets Forward. We'll be right back with more news and updates in just a bit.